Good morning. So, solstice sunrise, in the wee morning hours, we had the solstice of 2025, which is an interesting year. I want to do a reading for you. This is going to be a long one, but I think it's necessary at this point. The interwoven stories that are presented as poems within the story of ceremony by Leslie Marmon Silko. And my thought about this that I wrote to myself, and then I'll stop with my thoughts and go to hers. You know, we've told ourselves a lot of pretty creation stories. But if we want to be whole, we have to hear these creation stories. So let me do my best to make them heard. The way I heard it was in the old days, a long time ago, they had this scalp society for warriors who killed or touched dead enemies. They had things they must do. Otherwise, Kuko would haunt their dreams. With her great fangs and everything would be endangered. Maybe the rain would come, or the deer would go away. That's why they had things they must do. The flute and dancing, blue cornmeal and hair washing, all these things they had to do. One time, old woman Koyo's son came down from Redleaf Town up north. His name was Pakayani, and he didn't know who his father was. He asked the people, "You people want to learn some magic?" And the people said, "Yes, we can always use some." Masiwi and Oyuyewi, the twin brothers, were caring for the mother corn altar, but they got interested in this magic too. "What kind of medicine man are you anyway?" they asked him. "A Chikoyo medicine man," he said. "Tonight we'll see if you really have magical power," they told him. So that night, Pakayani came with his mountain lion. He undressed. He painted his body in the whorls of flesh, the soles of his feet, the palms of his hands, the top of his head. He wore feathers on each side of his head. He made an altar with cactus spines and purple locoweed flowers. He carried 4 cactus torches at each corner. He made the mountain lion lie down in front, and then he was ready for his magic. He struck the middle of the north wall. He took a piece of flint and he struck the middle of the north wall. Water poured out of the wall and flowed down toward the south. He said, "What does that look like? Is that magic power?" He struck the middle of the west wall, and from the east wall, a bear came out. "What do you call this?" he said again. "Yes, it looks like magic, all right," Masiwi said. And so it was finished. Masiwi and Oyuyewi, all the people that were fooled by that Chikoyo medicine man, Pakayani. And from that time on, they were so busy playing around with Chikoyo magic, they neglected their mother corn altar. They thought they didn't have anything to worry about. They thought this magic could give life to plants and animals. They didn't know it was all just a trick. Our mother, Nautsitiyi, was very angry over this, over the way all of them, Masiwi, Oyuyewi, fooled around with this magic. "I've had enough of that," she said. If they like that magic so much, let them live off it. So she took the plants and the grass from them. No baby animals were born. She took the rain clouds with her. The wind stirred the dust. The people were starving. She's angry with us, the people said, maybe because of that Chikoyo magic we were fooling around with. We'd better send someone to ask our forgiveness. They noticed Hummingbird was fat and shiny and had plenty to eat, and they asked him how come he looked so good. He said, down below, 3 worlds below this one, everything is green. All the plants are growing, flowers are blooming. I go down there and eat. So that's where our mother went. How can we get down there? Hummingbird looked at all the skinny people. He felt sorry for them. He said, you need a messenger. Listen, I'll tell you what to do. Bring a beautiful pottery jar painted with parrots and big flowers. Mix black mountain dirt and sweet corn flour and a little water. Cover the jar with a new buckskin and say this over the jar. And sing this softly above the jar. After 4 days you will be alive. 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 On the 4th day something buzzed inside the jar. They lifted the buckskin and a big green fly with yellow feelers on his head flew out of the jar. Fly will go with me, Hummingbird said. We'll go see what she wants. They flew to the 4th world below. Down there was another kind of daylight. Everything was blooming and growing. Everything was so beautiful. And Fly started sucking on sweet things. So Hummingbird had to tell him to wait until we see our mother. And then they found her. They gave her blue pollen and yellow pollen. They gave her turquoise beads and they gave her prayer sticks. I suppose you want something, she said. Yes, we want food and storm clouds. You get Old Buzzard to purify your town first, and then maybe I will send you people food and rain again. Fly and Hummingbird flew back up. They told the town people that Old Buzzard had to purify the town. And they took more pollen, they took more beads, and more prayer sticks, and they went to see Old Buzzard. They arrived at his place in the east. Who's out there? Nobody ever came here before. It's us, Hummingbird and Fly. Oh, what do you want? We need you to purify our town. Well, look here. Your offering isn't complete. Where's the tobacco? You see, it wasn't easy. Fly and Hummingbird had to fly back to town again. He walked into the evening air, which was cool and smelled like juniper smoke from the old man's fire. Bethany was sitting by the fire, watching the mutton ribs cook over the grill he had salvaged from the front end of a wrecked car in the dump below. The grill was balanced between 2 big sand rocks, where the hot coals were banked under the sputtering meat. Teo looked down at the valley at the lights of the town and the headlights and the taillights that strung along Highway 66. They took almost everything, didn't they? The old man looked up from the fire. He shook his head slowly while he turned the meat with a fork. We always come back to that, don't we? It was planned that way, for all the anger and the frustration, and for the guilt, too. Indians wake up every morning of their lives to see the land which was stolen, still there, within reach, its theft being flaunted. And the desire is strong to make things right, to take back what was stolen. To stop them from destroying what they have taken. But you see, Teo, we have done as much fighting as we can with the destroyers and thieves. As much as we could do and still survive. Teo walked over and knelt in front of the ribs, roasting over the white coals of the fire. Look, Bethany said, pointing east to Mount Taylor, towering dark blue with the last twilight. They only fool themselves when they think it's theirs. The deeds and papers don't mean anything. It's the people who belong to the mountains. Teo poked a stick into the coals and watched them lose shape and collapse into white ash. I wonder sometimes, he said, because my mother went with the white men. He stopped there, unable to say more. The birth had betrayed his mother and brought shame to the family and to the people. Old Bettany sat back on his heels and looked off into the distance. Nothing is that simple, he said. You don't write off all the white people, he said, just like you don't trust all the Indians. He pointed at the coffee pot in the sand, at the edge of the coals, and then at the meat. You better eat now, he said. Teo finished the meat on the mutton ribs and threw the bones to a skinny yellow dog that came out from behind the hogan. Behind the dog, a boy about 15 or 16 came with an armload of fireweed. He knelt by the fire with the kindling. Bethany spoke to him in Navajo and indicated Teo with a nod of the head. This is my helper, he told Teo. They call him Shush. That means bear. It was dark, but in the light from the fire, Teo could see there was something strange about the boy, something remote in his eyes, as if he were on a distant mountain top alone. And the fire and Hogan and the lights of the town below did not exist. He was a small child, learning to get around by himself. His family went by wagon into the mountains near Fluted Rock, and it was fall, and they were picking piñons. I guess he just wandered away, trying to follow his brothers and sisters into the trees. His aunt thought he was with his mother, and she thought he was with her sister. And then they tracked him the next day. His tracks went down into the canyon near the place which belonged to the bears. They went as far as they could to the place where no human could go beyond. And his little footprints were mixed in with bear tracks. So they sent word for this medicine man to come. He knew how to call the child back again. There wasn't much time. The medicine man was running, and his assistants followed behind him. They all wore bear weed, tied at their wrists, their ankles, and around their necks. He grunted loudly and scratched on the ground in front of him. He kept watching the entrance of the bear cave. He grunted and made a low growling sound. Pretty soon the little bears came out because he was making mother bear sounds. He grunted and growled a little more, and then the child came out. He was already walking like his sisters. He was already crawling on the ground. They couldn't just grab the child. They couldn't simply take him back because he would be in the in-between forever and he would probably die. They had to call him step by step. The medicine man brought the child back. So a long time ago, they got him back again. But he wasn't quite the same after that. Not like the other children. Note on bear people and witches. Don't confuse those who goes with the bears with the witch people. Human beings who live with bears do not wear bear skins. They are naked and not conscious of being different from their bear relatives. Witches crawl into the skins of dead animals, but they can do nothing but play around with objects and bodies. Living animals are terrified of witches. They smell the death. That's why witches can't get close to them. That's why people keep dogs around the Hogans. Dogs howl with fear when witch animals come around. Long time ago in the beginning, there were no white people in this world. There was nothing European. And this world might have gone on like that except for one thing: witchery. The world was already complete even without white people. There was everything, including witchery. Then it happened. These witch people got together. Some came from far away, across oceans, across mountains. Some had slanting eyes, others had black skin. They all got together for a contest, the way people have baseball tournaments nowadays, except this was a contest in dark things. So anyway, they all got together, witch people from all directions, witches from all the pueblos and all the tribes. They had Navajo witches there, some from Hopi, and a few from Zuni. They were having a witches' conference. That's what it was. Way up in the lava hills, north of Cañoncito. They got together to fool around in the caves with their animal skins. Fox, badger, bobcat, wolf. They all circled the fire. And on the fourth time, they jumped into that animal's skin. But this time, it wasn't enough, and one of them, maybe a Sioux or some Eskimos, started showing off. That wasn't anything. Watch this. The contest started like that, and some of them lifted the lids on their big cooking pots, calling the rest of them over to take a look. Dead babies simmering in blood, circles of skull cut away, and their brains sucked out. Witch medicine to dry and grind into powder for new victims. Others untied bundles of disgusting objects, dark flints, cinters from burned hogans where the dead lay, whorls of skin cut from fingertips, slice from the tips of penis and clitoris end. Finally, there was only one who hadn't shown off the charm or powers. The witch stood in the shadows beyond the fire, and no one ever knew where this witch came from, which tribe, or if it was a woman or a man. But the important thing was, this witch didn't show off any thunder charcoals or red anthill beads. This one just told them to listen. What I have is a story. At first they all laughed, but this witch said, "Okay, go ahead and laugh if you want to. But as I tell you the story, it will begin to happen. Set in motion now, set in motion by our witchery to work for us. Caves across the ocean, in caves of dark hills, white-skinned people like the belly of a fish covered with hair. Then they grow away from the earth. Then they grow away from the sun. Then they grow away from the plants and animals. They see no life when they look. They see only objects. The world is a dead thing for them. The trees and rivers are not alive. The mountains and stones are not alive. The deer and bear are objects. They see no life. They fear. They fear the world. They destroy what they fear. They fear themselves. The wind will blow them across the ocean, thousands of them in giant boats, swarming like larvae out of a crushed anthill. They will carry objects, which can shoot death faster than the eye can see. They will kill the things they fear, all the animals. The people will starve. They will poison the water, and they will spin the water away, and there will be drought. The people will starve. They will fear what they find, and they will fear the people, and they will kill what they fear. Entire villages will be wiped out. They will slaughter whole tribes. Corpses for us, blood for us, killing, 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 killing. And those they do not kill will die anyway at the destruction they see, at the loss of the children. The loss will destroy the rest. Stolen rivers and mountains, stolen land will eat their hearts and jerk their mouths from the mother. The people will starve, and they will bring terrible illnesses the people have never known. Entire tribes will die out, covered with festered sores, shitting blood, vomiting blood, corpses for our work. Set in motion now, set in motion by our witchery, set in motion to work for us. They will take this world from ocean to ocean. They will turn on each other, they will destroy each other. Up here in these hills, they will find the rocks. Rocks with veins of green and yellow and black. They will lay the final pattern with these rocks, and they will lay it across the world and explode everything. Set in motion now, set in motion to destroy, to kill. Objects to work for us, objects to act for us, performing the witchery for suffering, for torment, for the stillborn, the deformed, the sterile, the dead. Whirling, 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 set into motion now, set into motion. So the other witches said, okay, you win, you take the prize, but what you said just now isn't so funny. It doesn't sound so good. We're doing okay without it. We can get along without that kind of thing. Take it back. Call that story back. But the witch just shook his head at the others in their stinking animal skins, fur, and feathers. It is already turned loose. It's already coming. It can't be called back. His mother-in-law suspected something. She smelled coyote piss one morning. She told her daughter. She figured Coyote was doing this. She knew her son-in-law was missing. There was no telling what Coyote had done to him. 4 of them went to track the man. They tracked him to the place he found the deer tracks. They found the place the deer was arrow wounded, where the man started chasing it. Then they found the place where Coyote got him. Sure enough, those coyote tracks were right there around the marks in the sand where the man lay. The human tracks went off toward the mountain where the man must have crawled. They followed the tracks to a hard oak tree where he had spent the night. From there, he had crawled some distance farther and slept under a scrub oak tree. Then his tracks went to a pinyon tree, and then under the juniper where he slept another night. The tracks went on and on, but finally they came up with him sleeping under the bush of a wild rose. What happened? Are you the one who left 4 days ago, my grandchild? A coyote whine was the only sound he made. 4 days ago you left. Are you that one, my grandchild? The man tried to speak, but only a coyote sound was heard, and the trail moved, and the tail moved back and forth, sweeping ridges in the sand. He was suffering from thirst and hunger. He was almost too weak to raise his head, but he nodded. Yes. This is him, all right, but what can we do to save him? They ran to the holy places. They asked what might be done. At the summit of Dark Mountain, ask the 4 old bear people. They are the only possible hope. They have the power to restore the mind. Time and time again it has been done. Big Fly went to tell them. The old bear people said they would come. They said, prepare hard oak, scrub oak, pinyon, juniper, and wild rose twigs. Make hoops. Tie bundles of weeds into hoops. Make 4 bundles. Tie them with yucca, spruce mixed with charcoal from burned weeds, snakeweed, and grama grass, and rock sage. Make 4 bundles. The rainbows were crossed. They had been his former means of travel. Their purpose was to restore this to him. They made Pollen Boy right in the center of the white corn painting. His eyes were blue pollen. His mouth was blue pollen. His neck was too. And there were pinches of blue pollen in his joints. He sat in the center of the white corn sand painting. The rainbows crossed were in the painting behind him. Bettany's helper scraped away the sand and buried the bottom of the hoops in little trenches so that they were sending up and spaced apart. With the heart oak closest to him and the wild rose hoop in front of the deer, the old man painted a dark mountain range. Beside the farthest hoop, the next closer, he painted blue, and moving toward him, he knelt and made the yellow mountains, and in front of him, Bettany painted the white mountain range. The helper worked in the shadows beyond the dark mountain range. He worked with the black sand, making bear prints side by side. Along the right side of the bear footprints, the old man painted paw prints in blue and then in yellow and finally in white. They finished it together, with a big rainbow arching wide above the mountain ranges. Bettany gave him a basket with prayer sticks to hold. N-E-Ya-A, 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 N-E-Ya-A. In dangerous places you traveled. In danger you traveled. To a dangerous place you traveled. In danger, Ihe, Aya, Na. To the place where whirling darkness started its journey along the edges of the rocks, along the places of the gentle wind, along the edges of the blue clouds, along the edges of the clear water. Whirling darkness came up from the north. Whirling darkness moved along to the east. It came along the south. It arrived in the west. Whirling darkness spiraled downward, and it came up the middle. The helper stepped out of the shadows. He was grunting like a bear. He raised his head as if it were heavy for him, and he sniffed the air. He stood up and talked to Tayo. He reached down for the prayer sticks, and he spoke the words distinctly, pressing the sticks close to his heart. The old man came forward and then cut Tayo across the top of the head. It happened suddenly. He hadn't expected it. But the dark flint was sharp and the cut was short. They both reached for him, lifting him up by the shoulders. They guided his feet into the bare footprints, and Bettany prayed him through each of the 5 hoops. Ehe yaha na, ehe yaha na, ehe yaha na, ehe yaha na, ehe yaha na. Teo could feel the blood ooze from his scalp. He could feel rivulets of it in his hair. It moved down his head slowly, onto his face and neck as he stooped through each hoop. Eheya na, eheya na, ehe, eheya ana, eheya ana. At the dark mountain, born from the mountain, walked along the mountain. I will bring you through my hoop. I will bring you back. Following my footsteps, walk home. Following my footprints, come home. Happily return, belonging to your home. Return to long life and happiness again. Return to long life and happiness. Ehe ya ana, ehe ya ana, ehe ya ana, ehe ya ana. At the dark mountain, born from the dark mountain, moves his hand along the mountain. I have left the zigzag lightning behind. I have left the straight lightning behind. I have the dew. A sun ray falls from me. I was born from the mountain. I leave a path of wildflowers. A raindrop falls from me. I'm walking home. I'm walking back to belonging. I'm walking home to happiness. I am walking back to long life. When he passed through the hoop, it wasn't finished. They spun him around sunwise, and he recovered and stood up. The rainbows returned him to his home, but it wasn't over. All kinds of evil were still on him. The people asked, "Did you find him?" "Yes, but we forgot something. Tobacco." But there was no tobacco. So Fly and Hummingbird had to fly all the way back down to the fourth world below to ask Mother where they could get some tobacco. "We came back again," they told our mother. "Maybe you need something?" "Tobacco. Go ask Caterpillar." The dry skin was still stuck to his body, but the effects of the witchery of the evil thing began to leave his body. The effects of the witchery of the evil thing in his surroundings began to turn away. It had gone a great distance. It had passed below the north. Up north, around Red Leaf Town, there was an old Chocoyo magician they called Kabata, the gambler. He was tall, and he had a handsome face, but he always wore spruce greens around his head, over his eyes. He dressed in the finest white buckskins. His moccasins were perfectly sewn. He had strings of sky blue turquoise, strings of red coral in his ears. In all ways, the gambler was very good to look at. His house was high in the peaks of the Zuni Mountains, and he waited for people to wander up to his place. He kept the gambling sticks all stacked up and ready for them. He walked and turned around for them to show off his fancy clothes and his expensive beads. Then he told them he would gamble with them. Their clothes, their beads, for his. Most people wore their old clothes, what they went hunting in the mountains in, as they figured they didn't have much to lose. Anyways, they might win all his fine things. Not many could pass up his offer, but the people didn't know. They ate the blue cornmeal he offered them. They didn't know he mixed human blood with it. Visitors who ate it didn't have a chance. He got power over them that way. And when they started gambling with him, they did not stop until they lost everything they owned. And when they were naked and he had everything, he'd say, "I tell you what, since I'm so good and generous, I'll give you one last chance. See that rawhide bag hanging over on the north wall there? If you can guess what's in that bag, I'll give you back all your clothes and beads, and everything I have here too. These feather blankets, all these strings of coral beads, and these fine white buckskin moccasins. But if you don't guess right, you lose your life. They were in his power. They had lost everything. So usually they said okay, but they never guessed what was in his bag. He hung them upside down in his storeroom, side by side with the other victims. He cut out their hearts and let their blood run down into the bins of blue cornmeal. That is what the Chicoyo Kapata gambler did up there in the Zuni Mountains. And one time he even captured the storm clouds. He won everything from them, but since they can't be killed, all he could do was lock them up in the 4 rooms of his house. The clouds in the east room, clouds of the south in the south room, clouds of the west in the west room, clouds of the north in the north room. The sun is their father. Every morning he wakes them up. But one morning he went first to the north top of the west mountain, then to the west top of the south mountain, then to the south top of the east mountain, and finally to the east top of the north mountain, and realized they were gone. For 3 years the storm clouds disappeared while the gambler held them prisoner. The land was drying up. The people and the animals were starving. They are his children, so he went looking for them. He took blue pollen and yellow pollen. He took tobacco and coral beads, and he walked into the open territory below the mesas. There, in a sandy place by a blue flower vine, Spider-Woman was waiting for him. "Grandson," she said. "I hear your voice," he answered. "But where are you?" "Down here, by your feet." He looked down into the ground and saw a little hole. "I brought you something, Grandma." "Why, thank you, grandson. I can always use these things," she said. "The storm clouds are missing. That Chicoyo Kapata, the gambler, has locked them up," she told him. "How will I get them back?" "It won't be easy, grandson. But here, take this medicine. Blow it on the gambler's black ducks who guard his place. Take him by surprise. The next thing is, don't eat anything he offers you. Go ahead, gamble with him. Let him think he has you too. Then he will make you his offer. Your life for a chance to win everything. Even his life. He will say, 'What do I have hanging in the leather bag on my wall?' You say, 'Maybe some shiny pebbles.' Then you pause a while and say, 'Let me think.' Then guess again. Say, 'Maybe some mosquitoes.' And he'll begin to rub his flint blade and say, 'This is your last chance.' But this time you will guess. 'The Pleiades.' He'll jump up and say, 'Hey, yeah, you are the first one to guess.' Next he will point to a woven bag hanging on the south wall, and he will say, 'What is it I have in there?' And you will say, 'Could be some bumblebees?' He'll laugh and say, 'No. Maybe some butterflies of the small yellow kind. Maybe some tiny black ants,' you'll say. 'No,' Kapata will be smiling then. 'This is it,' he'll say. 'But this is the last time, grandson.' You say, 'Maybe you have Orion in there.' And then everything, his clothing, his beads, his heart, and the rain clouds will be yours. 'Okay, Grandma, I will go.' He took the medicine into the Zuni Mountains. He left a trail and walked past one of the peaks. The black ducks rushed at him, and he blew the medicine on them before they could squawk. He came up behind the gambler, practicing with his sticks on the floor of his house. "I'm fasting," he told Kapata. Then he offered him the blue cornmeal. When he offered him the blue cornmeal, sorry. But thanks anyway. Sunman pulled out his things, 4 sets of new clothes, 2 pairs of new moccasins, 2 strings of all white shell beads. Kapata smiled when he saw these things. "We'll gamble all night," he said. It happened just the way Spider-Woman said. When he had lost everything, Kapata gave him a last chance. The gambler bet everything he had that Sunman couldn't guess what he had in the bag on the east wall. Kapata was betting his life that he could not guess what was in the sack hanging from the south wall. Hey, yeah, you guess right. Take this black flint knife, Sunman. Go ahead, cut out my heart. Kill me. Kapata lay down on the floor with his head toward the east. But Sunman knew Kapata was magical and he couldn't be killed anyway. Kapata was going to lie there and pretend to be dead. So Sunman knew what he had to do. He took his flint blade and he cut out the gambler's eyes and threw them away into the south sky, and they became the horizon stars of autumn. Then he opened the doors of the 4 rooms and he called to the storm clouds. "My children," he said, "I have found you. Come out. Come on out. Come home again. Your mother, the earth, is crying for you. Come home, children. Come home." So they flew all the way up again. They went to a place in the west. See, these things were complicated. They called outside his house. "You downstairs. How are things?" "Okay," he said. "Come down." And they went inside. "Maybe you want something?" "Yes, we need tobacco." Caterpillar spread out dry corn husks on the floor. He rubbed his hands together and tobacco fell into the corn husks. Then he folded up the husks and gave the tobacco to them. Sunrise. We come at sunrise to greet you. We call you at sunrise. Father of the clouds, you are beautiful at sunrise. Sunrise. He walked into the mine shaft slowly, and the feeling became overwhelming. The pattern of the ceremony was completed there. He knelt and found an aura rock. The gray stone was streaked with powdery yellow uranium, bright and alive as pollen. Veins of sooty black formed lines with the yellow, making mountain ranges and rivers across the stone. But they had taken these beautiful rocks from deep within the earth and had laid them in monstrous design, realizing destruction on a scale only they could have dreamed. He cried the relief he felt at finally seeing the pattern, the way all the stories fit together, the old stories, the war stories, their stories, to become the story that was still being told. He was not crazy. He had never been crazy. He had only seen and heard the world as it always was. No boundaries, only transitions through all distances and times. He turned. The moon was rising above the last mesa, and he had crossed from the east. A transition was about to be completed. The sun was crossing the zenith to a winter place in the sky, a place where these prayers of long winter nights would call out the long summer days into new growth. Tonight, only the priests would be praying for the force to continue the relentless motion of the stars. But there were others who would be working this night, casting loose counter motions to suck in a great spiral, swallowing the universe endlessly into a black mouth, their diagrams in black ash on cave walls outlining the end in motionless dead stars. But he saw the constellation in the north sky, and the fourth star was directly above him. The pattern of the ceremony was in the stars, and the constellation formed the map of the mountains in each direction he had gone for the ceremony. For each star there was a night and a place. This was the last night and the last place, when the darkness of the night and the light of the day were balanced. His protection was there in the sky, in the position of the sun, in the pattern of the stars. He had only to complete this night, to keep the story out of the reach of the destroyers for a few more hours, and their witchery would turn upon itself, upon them. Arrow Boy got up after she left. He followed her into the hills, up where the caves were. The others were waiting. They held the hoop and danced around the fire 4 times. The witchman stepped through the hoop. He called out that he would be a wolf. His head and upper body became hairy like a wolf, but his lower body was still human. "Something is wrong," he said. "Chikoyo magic won't work if someone is watching us." Hummingbird and fly thanked him. They took the tobacco to Old Buzzard. "Here it is. We got it. But it sure wasn't easy." "Okay," Buzzard said. "Go back and tell them I'll purify the town." And he did. First to the east, then to the south, then to the west, and finally to the north. Everything was set straight again after all that Chikoyo magic. The storm clouds returned. The plants started growing again. And there was food. And the people were happy again. So she told them, "Stay out of trouble from now on. It isn't very easy fixing things up again. Remember that next time. Next time some Chikoyo magician comes to town." Well, you say you have seen her last winter up north with the mountain lion, the hunter. All summer she was south, near Aku. They started crying. The old men started crying. "Amuo, Amuo, you have seen her. We will be blessed again." They unraveled the dead skin Coyote threw on him. They cut it up, bundle by bundle. Every evil which entangled him was cut to pieces. Whirling darkness started its journey with its witchery, and its witchery has returned upon it. Its witchery has returned into its belly. Its own witchery has returned all around it. Whirling darkness has come back on itself. It keeps all the witchery to itself. It doesn't open its eyes with its witchery. It has stiffened with the effects of its own witchery. It is dead for now. 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 Sunrise, accept this offering. Sunrise. Thank you for your attention.